The Death of Dick Long is a 2019 comedy tragedy movie written by Billy Chu and directed by one half of the filmmaking duo The Daniels, who just won 3 Oscars for their movie Everything Everywhere All at Once.
We want to dedicate this to the mommies.
Despite it being a funny movie with many comedic scenes, it is without a doubt a tragedy and is filled with tragic elements. The movie is about 3 best friends, Zeke, Earl, and Dick Long. I sure hope Dick Long lives a long and happy life. The trio decide to get belligerently drunk and start a lot of fires, which makes sense because what else would you do in rural Alabama? We are left in the dark about what really happened after this until the very end of the movie, but what we do see is Zeke and Earl dumping Dick's body off at a hospital and running off before they are seen. Dick is dead. While we don't know exactly what happened, we know something sinister occurred. Zeke and Earl both wake up the next morning and desperately attempt to pretend nothing happened. They both have the same tragic flaw of simplicity. To say they are small-town Alabama rednecks is putting it lightly. It is made abundantly clear that they try to solve all their problems with the first idea that pops into their heads. Like when Zeke must take his daughter to school the next morning. His backseat is covered in dick blood. He decides to go with the first thing that he thinks of. Throw a friggin' jacket over the blood. It's partly through Zeke and Earl's simplistic way of thinking that leads to their downfall. Who knew that jacket thing wasn't gonna work out? Zeke's daughter notices the blood, and out of sheer panic, Zeke calls Earl to pick her up and take her to school in his truck instead. Afterwards, they both attempt to clean up the car, but give up and decide they are better off sinking it in the river and saying it was stolen. Brilliant. This shows off another tragic trait of Zeke and Earl, uncritical thinking. Like their other flaw, they both fail to slow down and think about their actions. They both constantly fail to critically think about their actions and how thinly veiled they all are. It is so apparent that these two are up to something and everyone can see it. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that the police have done an autopsy on Dick's body and the doctor was so mortified at his findings that a full-blown police investigation is kicked into motion. After a long day of covering up a horrendous crime, all Zeke wants to do is sit back and drink, but instead is interrogated by his wife, Lydia. She doesn't buy that he was not involved in his best friend's disappearance. She also knows the car wasn't stolen since their daughter admitted she was driven around in it that morning. Zeke is devastated by this confrontation. He has a preference for the familiar, and ever since Dick's death, he has been trying to cover it up so he can have his normal family life back. With Lydia confronting him, he knows he has lost his normal life. Zeke admits the truth about what happened that night, and trigger warning for bestiality. For over a decade, Zeke, Earl, and Dick have been horse riding. They have kept it a secret for years, sneaking into Dick and his wife's barn and hanging out with the horse Comet. Lydia obviously does not take this news well and demands Zeke leave. She tells him he will never see or speak to their daughter again. Zeke's emotional engagement to the crime is another tragic trait of his. His pride caused him to keep this a secret. He had too much to lose and would do anything, no matter how desperate, to keep this secret from getting out. And even worse, a detective shows up at his doorstep asking questions about Dick Long. Here is where Zeke knows he has failed. He tries to keep it together for the detective, but the tone is tense and hostile. It is clear to the detective something is going on. Zeke tells the detective his family knows nothing and it's all a big mistake. He then takes off to the stable and tries to free Comet, but is arrested by the detective. The movie ends with Zeke getting released from jail with the charges being dropped. The detective explains it is because if it was made public, it would ruin the lives of the family members. Zeke is not welcome anywhere near his family and only has good old Earl to rely on. The movie ends with them in a crappy motel room, unsure of where they will go or what they will do. They are still the same idiots they were at the start, now just shunned from their community and family. Do you know how hard it is to be shunned from a town in Alabama? Despite the comedy throughout the movie, the mood and tone constantly point the audience in the direction of tragedy. It is genuinely frustrating to watch Zeke attempt to cover up the crime, even before you are made aware of exactly what happened.